Hello, hello, and happy Friday. Yay! Okay, so right now I'm just waiting to see if my co host invites me in. He should be joining me shortly, and if not, I'll follow him. But we'll be talking about fantasy momentarily, and here we go.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How's Florida?
It is good. I am today. I thought it was going to be a little bit rainy, but it held off a little bit. But how's Georgia?
Surprisingly sunny and over-pollinated.
Yeah, we're getting quite a bit of the pollen down here too. So if I sound kind of nasally, that's why.
Likewise, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I think it's more that I'm a little bit raspy right now.
I know, I'm like, if I'm puffy-eyed, it's that season. It is that season.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember how bad it was when I was in Georgia. There were just so many trees around, and I think I was allergic to every one of them.
What part of Georgia were you from? I remember you mentioned that at some point.
Yeah, it was just south of Atlanta in the Fayetteville and Riverdale area, and
Okay.
that whole area down there. And then I went to college at Georgia Tech, so I was downtown for that. And then a little while after that, then I just moved down here.
Hey, Florida is a fun state. I do enjoy every time I visit.
Yeah, it's cool. I enjoy it. I'm in the Orlando area, so near the theme parks and all that stuff. I haven't been to any of the parks in the last couple of years because of just everything that's been happening. But yeah, but yeah, so glad we're able to connect for this. This is very cool, and you got me to do it earlier in the day, which I'm excited about because I think we're gonna have a lot of people who couldn't make it to the later ones coming in on this.
That's fun. And like for me, I was like, I do want to enjoy some of the later times. It was just the next couple months, weekends and Fridays become the weekend at some point. It's chaotic just with scheduling, but I'm glad this all worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we already have a question here. We're asked, how do you decide who you go live with? It pretty much is we just kind of say, hey, you want to go live?
That
We
is
just kind
true.
of
That is very true. For me, it's like, there's being a writer, I've been trying to pursue, authors who have similar, interest and type of books for my best guess. And that's what I think would be kind of fun to talk about because there's a lot of similarities between us. But, I guess it all depends on the person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking at your books. You have quite a few more books than I have out, and I was impressed with your lineup.
Well, don't be as impressed. It's taken a lot longer than, I guess, others. Everybody works at their own speed and everybody discovers things at their own rate. So for me, I always feel like I'm a little behind everybody else, but I'm trying. So thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
well, at least for me, I always like to. Well, I've only done a couple of these through TikTok, but I've done other interviews in the past, co-interviewing, and I think it'd be kind of fun because I think how this works. Correct me if I'm wrong, my viewers log in through me, your viewers log in through you, so they may not know the other one. So I always think it's kind of fun. At least you do your pitch about your book or books you want, and vice versa, so then everybody's familiar.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and yep, you're correct about that. I can see the chat from the folks who log in on mine, and vice versa. So we'll probably need to read to each other as we go along too, so we can get all the questions. But yeah, you want me to sort of pitch what I've written
Yeah,
and
I
what
was
I'm
gonna
looking at?
say.
Then okay, yeah, everything is backwards because I don't know how to invert things here, so I've got my shirt
Oh yeah.
backwards, and then the book cover is going to be backwards. But this is the first book in my epic fantasy series. The series is called Teshavar, which is the name of my fantasy world that I've created. The first book is Akathar's Greatest Trick, which it's backwards there. But it's going to be overall the core series is going to be 9 books. It's going to be a
Ooh,
trilogy of trilogies, and
okay.
there are going to be some other sort of offshoot books. Like I have a prequel novella out as well that I'm giving away for
Okay.
free, and it's set in a second world. It's a second world fantasy. It's in a world where there is a magical despot, basically, who's an ancient figure who is controlling everything and has declared all magic illegal, real magic illegal. And the first book, Akathar's Greatest Trick, is about a theater group that is backing a stage magician who goes by the name Akathar. He does stage magic in a realm where real magic is illegal, and of course that draws the attention of the mage hunters and the people who are after the real magic, and it sort of follows their story through that, and then we'll continue the story into the rest of the series. So that's what I have out and what I'm working on.
I love
But
that.
yeah, but I'm dedefinitely interested in hearing about yours. I read a little bit about yours online, and it sounded super cool. So give us your pitch.
I don't even know. Okay, so I've been publishing for a number of years. But because of that, I have actually 3 series out at current, and I'm going to do this unfortunate reach around thing to grab a couple of books. But my first series, see, there you go, missing that shine. But like you said, it's backwards. Starts off with the book Asara's Claws. It's a 4-book series called the Incarne Saga, and those books are a war-based shifter fantasy. Set in a kingdom where both the humans and the race of shifters called therimorphs have begrudgingly existed side by side. And the concept that kicks off the series is they have to try to figure out if they can push aside their differences and their dislikes to help fend off an oncoming threat. So that one's that one. And then,
Very cool.
yeah, I'll just quick pitches. The other series, I have 2 active ones. One is the Jed Chronicles that starts with the 12 tasks. And this is my young adult adventure portal fantasy. I just learned the term portal fantasy, so I'm overusing it right now. But
It's a great term.
Oh, I love that term. But that one's fun because it's set in a multiverse with 12 magical planets. And the concept is ever since existence, polar opposite forces have threatened to destroy existence. And at those points of time, a hero can rise from an obscure planet to help try to maintain order and set things right. And so that kicks off that series where my character awakens on a world not her own, and everybody presumes she potentially could be this hero known as the Jed. And she, in order to prove herself, she has to complete 12 tasks. That's the name of the book. My final series
Awesome.
is only ebook, so I don't have it here. It's all backwards. It's an ebook series, and it's a Viking novella fantasy. It's on the darker end of the spectrum for adults, and they're just fun because they're rapid release. Right now I have 5 out, and will soon be releasing my 6th one, crossing fingers, at the end of the month. But that one, people get to go explore Yggdrasil and the 9 realms, and will get to immerse themselves in some Nordic lore.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, those were excellent pitches. I'm definitely interested, and you have such a variety to choose from. I've got my one series, and I'm just sort of chugging along here, and you're like, I've got this and this and this. That's so cool. And we have a question here asking where our books are available. So you want to take that one first?
Okay, well, I am exclusive through Amazon, and every author has their own reasons why or what. So you can find my books there. I have them in the print, the ones that are full length, they're in print and hardback, as well as the ebook variety, and I'm on KU. And obviously my novella series is only e-version at the moment, though I'm hoping to create a physical box set later on this year that people can buy if they prefer something to hold, which I always prefer. And yeah, so you can find them there. I also have a website and sell signed personalized copies through Etsy.
That's awesome. I am exclusive of my ebooks through Amazon. I've got them. My book currently on Kindle Unlimited, and then my other ebook is free through my links in my bio. But my paperback and hardcover you can get at Amazon, or you can special order it typically at other bookstores. It, in theory, could be stocked at other stores because I've gone through Ingram Spark for that. But typically, people have to special order them at the other stores. So Amazon tends to be the easier way to get them. But I'm really interested in. We have a few more questions that have come up here, but I want to follow this first.
I'm still new in all this, so I don't think I'm still gaining the group of followers who are a little more active participant. I watch you talk all the time, so I'm happy. Go away.
Yeah. I wanted to ask before I go back into these questions about your signed copies. You said you go through Etsy with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, because what I do is I'll order my author's copies, which you understand that concept. And then from there, I'm also an artist on the side. My other job is being an artist. And so I already had an Etsy shop, and then I expanded it into the writing thing. So I have people can buy either the independent books, or they can buy as in sets of the series, and I'll sign them, personalize them, mail them your way, and also give people, because they're supporting an indie author, I have like little stickers and bookmarks that kind of get tucked in there as well, just for some little perk for supporting indie.
That's so cool. I've been trying to figure out, I've had requests for signed copies and have been trying to figure out the logistics of it. And I, for some reason, hadn't thought of Etsy as an outlet for that. So I'm going to check into that. I might confer with you after this at some point and see,
Yeah.
because I definitely want to provide that. And that sounds like a good option.
Yeah, because like right now, everybody thinks of Etsy as the other forms of art. Writing is an art form, but the other forms of art and crafts and stuff like that. But yeah, I noticed that there were a few people who sold books, and since I began, more and more people are using it that way, and I would recommend.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. Well, let me scroll back here. We do have some more questions that have come up. So let me see. Okay, we have some advice here saying that the invert is in effects or enhancement. I had looked for invert in effects and I couldn't find it on mine for the live, but I have found it for regular videos. So I think we're just going to have to deal with backward Star Wars for now on me. Yeah. We have a question here from Jackson Thunderblade Writer. Do you have any tips on planning a novel series? Since you have more series than I do, maybe you'd be the best one to to start off with that.
Well, I mean, I guess it all depends. Well, that's a complicated question because I have so many counter questions to ask. Would be, I guess, if you have a story in mind, and then, for me, when I develop stories or a series, I already kind of have an idea, key plot lines for each book. So I, going in, have a good, goal in mind of how many books I'm going to end up with. And then from there, you can work on fleshing them out and building off of that. But if you're a person who hasn't even started a book, sometimes people begin the first book, which actually my debut novel, that was the case where I wrote it thinking it was independent. And as I was finishing up, I was like, oh, but there's more. There's 3 more. So I ended up with a 4-book series. So you can approach it differently. I don't think there's a wrong way. But if you have any other questions I could try to answer. Again, that's a very broad one for me because I don't know which way to go. How about you?
Yeah, with me, I think I am similar to you, but a little bit different in that you have a few different series ideas that you went with, and what I did was I spent a long time world building a specific world, and pretty much every idea that I've had since then has just sort of slotted into that world. And there's a core story that I had the idea for that is sort of central to that world. That is what the main books in my series are going to be, and it just kind of over time, it's honestly over a series of probably like almost a decade of thinking through all this stuff has just kind of come together. But then as the world has built out, I've seen other possibilities and other little pockets of areas and topics to address that I'd like to write more about and to investigate. So it's kind of, I feel like everything for me as far as planning a series is more about building the world and then seeing what stories come into that world and sort of playing what if with it. So that's sort of where my ideas for series come from. And I'm sort of stuck into this one series. Eventually I might branch off into some other ones, but everything has just been specifically Teshavar for me so far.
Hey, no, I love that because, that helps readers, once they fall in love with the series, they already know what they're going to expect with your next series because everything links kind of, like the Grishaverse is pretty popular right now and all the books are all interrelated in that world set. And it's harder than for me because not only do I have different series which are totally different world buildings or multiverse buildings, but it's also their different age brackets from young adult, new adult, and adult. So marketing for me is mass chaos. It's far more simple to follow what you do. So I recommend your approach over mine. But on the other hand, I love my books, so I would never try something different. I would not have done it differently. There, words.
Yeah. I envy you're having the multiple series because you have a lot of creative flexibility there that I don't necessarily have at this point. That I'm kind of in this one world, and you have several different irons in the fire, so to speak. That if you feel like looking in this direction or looking in that direction, that I don't necessarily have that flexibility right now. So that works really well for you, I imagine.
It does. On the other hand, it gets, again, this mass chaos when you're trying to edit and write. You're working on one series at one book, and you're editing another series with another book, and I'll read aloud, and all of a sudden I'm switching names, and I'm like, where am I on what story? Who knows what on what world? Where are we? So, again, there's benefits, but then there's also limitations to everything, I think.
Right. That makes perfect sense. I have a question here that is specific to mine.
Go for it.
It's asking, says, thanks to Book Talk, I always think Akotar, but not the other one. Sorry. Has the similarity affected you at all with the sounds of the names? Because my book is Akathar's Greatest Trick,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Akotar is so
Yeah.
popular here. When I wrote my book, I had never heard of Sarah Maas in my life. I had no idea what A Court of Thorns and Roses was. And then I arrived here. I was like, I've got this book. And I was like, oh, wait. And so I haven't heard from anyone that it has caused confusion, but it definitely, I heard the similarity myself as soon as I heard Akotar, and I was like, oh no. But I don't think it has caused any real practical problems for me at this point. Hopefully it won't, but we'll just have to see.
Well, it's also, I think they cater to slightly different audiences. Akatar, I've not read it. From what I hear, it's very romance forward. And so, obviously, depending on how much romance, if any, is in yours, you can market to a slightly different group. So, I think you're
Yeah. Yeah, I have read the first book and I have recorded. I'm doing in progress reading recap videos that I've been posting on my account, and I actually have finished reading the first Akotar book and have finished recording all of the things, but they take forever to edit, so I'm behind on posting them. But it definitely is a lot more romance directed. This fantasy romance. I wouldn't call my books at all romance. They have characters that are in romantic relationships just as part of their character, but romance definitely is not an A plot kind of thing in mine. So yeah, I think it's sort of, they're both fantasy but sort of diverging subgenres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing is trying to find, again, going back to what we talked about originally, was trying to find other authors in your niche. And so it's
Right.
always kind of fun to see, because I write dark fantasy, so it's kind of fun to see other dark fantasy. I write high fantasy and portal fantasy, and again, my range of ages spans a while, so it is kind of fun to find different niche authors.
Yeah, I love the way that your books sound. I'm especially intrigued by the portal fantasy stuff now because I recently became obsessed with the Wayward Children books by Shannon McGuire.
I've
That
heard
it's
of
all
that
about.
one a lot. I have yet to read them, though.
They're really good. It's the concept of it is it's all based around portal fantasies, and it's kind of a deconstruction of the portal fantasy genre. That it's about kids who, because it's usually in like the classical kind of portal fantasies like Narnia and Alice in Wonderland, that kind of thing. It's usually kids that get pulled into these portal worlds, and the books by Shannon McGuire are about kids after they've gone to their portal world and then they come back to our world. It's about them trying to learn to cope and live back in this world after they've experienced this world of magic and fantasy and everything. And so there's a school that's set up that they go to. It's a boarding school that they live with other kids who have been to different worlds than they've been to, and it's about their interactions and some of them trying to get back to their worlds, and it's really interesting stuff. So when you said portal fantasy, I really want to check that out from you.
Well, thank you. Like for me, I've just started the process of reading Wheel of Time, and
Oh yeah.
I was, and I don't know what second book or something. I was just like, oh, this is a portal fantasy too. I didn't realize it, but it just tickles me now that I realize that is I guess, a newly minted genre, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. I have not read a ton. I haven't gone super deeply into it, other than obviously like Narnia and that kind of stuff. But most of what I read and what I write is the second world epic fantasy kind of stuff that people don't really go between worlds for it. It's all sort of in one world. So that's what I'm used to writing myself. But I'm very intrigued by what's involved in that subgenre. So I love it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so what inspired you to start your writing career then? That's a general question.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been interested in writing since I was very young, since I was in elementary school. I, at that time, was there were two things that really kind of prompted me. I was very much a Star Wars kid and have stayed that. And I also, when I was in elementary school, got really into mystery books like Agatha Christie and those kinds of things. And so I wanted to create stuff. I was so into Star Wars and loved all the world building and all that stuff in it. And I also loved the plots and like the twistiness of the classic mysteries. And so I started when I was in elementary school, middle school, and high school. Just I was writing mystery stories that were kind of they were sort of classic mysteries like the Agatha Christie kind of things. And so that's what I wanted to do. then I went to college to Georgia Tech. I went for a computer science degree for some unknown reason because I don't really want to be a computer person. But I did that, and while I was there, it was such a scientifically geared thing
Hmm.
that I kind of didn't have my creativity going at that time in that direction, and so I didn't write all through college and for a long time after college, and then eventually started thinking I'm not happy doing all this technical stuff. I need to be doing something else, and I was like, wait a minute, I used to want to be a writer. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and so I went back and explored that again, and I was really into sci-fi and fantasy and speculative fiction and that kind of stuff at that point. And so I was like, I'm going to try writing fantasy and just see what happens. And with my first book, I didn't tell anyone that I was interested in writing again. I mentioned it to no one until I had finished the book because I didn't have confidence that I could finish it. And so I finished it, and I was like, to my friends and family, I was like, hey, by the way, I wrote a book. And they were like, what?
I
So
love it.
that's where that came from. But what's your origin story?
Oh, my origin story. Kind of like you, it's one of those things that I always thought of myself as I always created stories and backstories, characters, side characters, etc., so on. And when I was a child, like really young with my sister, we created this just like multiverse, all these characters, these giant worlds, and ended up, I realized that I wanted to share those concepts, these stories, these characters with other people down the line. Didn't know how or when, but I knew I was going to do it. And so put that on pause for a while. And then towards my end of my high school career, right before I joined college, I ended up starting a different book, Sarah's Claws, and just to see if I could do it, and went from there because by the time I wrote that, took a long, long time, a decade of stopping and starting, but achieved my goal and challenged myself to finish that series to get the confidence of enough to actually finally pursue my childhood stories, which are that portal fantasy. So these were the ones a lot of them are the characters from my youth, my sister and my imagination. I've updated them, tweaked them, renamed them because a child of like 7 or 8 is not really good at naming things. But redid things, pulled a lot more from mythology since I'm obsessed with mythology from all around the world, incorporated a lot of richness and characters from those different kind of mythos into that series and produced it there. But it's one of those roundabout ways because when I studied college, I double majored in animal psychology because I wanted to talk to animals, and fine art since again I'm a painter, but nothing to do with writing. That was a passion I always knew I was going to do. Didn't know how, but I would achieve it.
And now you're here. You did it. Congratulations.
Well, same to you. It's scary to make a leap in that direction, but it's also a relief when you do.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And I think we had a question specifically for you that came up while you were talking here, so I don't want to miss that. Let me
Oh,
scroll back, and also I want to say hi to all the folks who've been coming in
I
while
know
we were
there are a lot of
talking.
people that keep popping in. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a question for you. How do you order the inventory for your Etsy shop, and is it cost effective?
How do I organize or order?
How
Wait.
do you? He asked, how do you order the inventory for your Etsy shop, and is it cost effective?
You mean for like the author's copies? Well, I always like keeping author's copies in general because pre-COVID, I would do different like physical book signings or stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I always like to have so many here. And plus, I would meet people and they're like, can I buy a book from you? There are so many people who want to buy a book from the author, which is really kind of neat. So I always
Yeah.
like having some on hand. What I do, and people may not need as many as if it's a first book of a series, I keep 20 to 25. And then I kind of tailor it back because it's easier to pitch and obviously sell first books than necessary book 6. Unless you
Right.
have someone who really wants to buy the whole series in one, and sometimes they give deals that way. If you're going to buy the whole collection, I'll give you a slight discount that way.
Hmm.
Authors' copies, if people don't know or are unfamiliar with, we pay pretty much just the printing cost. That's still a good chunk, especially when you get to the hardback, which I'm finding out. But and we pay for our own shipping, so we still have to cover the shipping of the books to us. And then so some of that cost that what I charge other people is to kind of cover all that and, earn the living part. But Yeah, the trick is you have to decide how much space you have in your house, and then you just play around with it. Maybe start small and work up. On Etsy, you can limit how many you have for sale. So if you only have 5 books, you can just have 5 books on there, so you never oversell. And if you feel like you're getting low, you can reorder the author copies, get them in, and then restock your Etsy shop. So I think it's a nice thing to have, but yeah, you definitely don't need hundreds of books stacked up at your house unless that's really what you want.
Yeah, yeah. It can get overwhelming after a while. I just recently, excuse me, that's the pollen talking here. But I just recently ordered for the first time a sizable shipment of the author copies, the paperbacks from Amazon, and got that in, and they arrived, and I was like, okay, now what?
Yep.
It's like I've got this box of books sitting here. But yeah, that everything you said is right on target. And you mentioned the hardcovers, and I saw recently your videos that you released your books in hardcover. Can I ask, where did you go for the hardcovers? Did you go through Amazon or Ingram, or how did you do that?
I did, since again currently I am exclusive with Amazon and haven't broached expanding at the moment. I did go and try with Amazon, because that's a new thing. If people aren't aware, that's very, very new, which I'm excited for, because I've been out here for years and everybody always asks, do I have a hardcover? I keep wanting to say hardcover, but
it's the same thing to me.
I feel like it. One's a real word and one's maybe not so real. But yeah, no, so I've been playing around, and what I did was order proofs, because they have 2 varieties. They have a matte version and a glossy version, so got to test them out. And I actually polled my TikTok people to see what Book Talk thought, and I was really surprised that predominantly everybody was matte forward. So that's what I chose, was matte versions of them, and they're available to order online. Author copies, another fun fact about that, they take forever to come in for the author. So I'm still waiting for my hardcovers to come in personally, and then they'll be popped up on the Etsy shop. But they're available to order online, and if you're just buying 1 or 2 direct, they're real quick to ship around.
That sounds good. Yeah, the author copies I found from ordering just these paperbacks, they do take forever. And I am very interested in the hardcovers that Amazon does. I started out and did my hardcover through Ingram Spark, and they do the thing that you have the paper book, the dust cover for it, the book jacket for it. And, yeah, but the thing is, now I did that, and now Amazon is doing hardcovers, which sounds really appealing to me. But they don't do the covers; they do print it on the cover. Which, if they had that as an option first, I might have gone with that first. But now I don't want to have my series mismatched, so I did the first one with the dust jacket. So I'm gonna need to do the remaining 8 with the dust jacket. So I guess I'm with Ingram Spark for a while.
Hey, that is an understandable thing. It's and that's one of the reasons why, if I wanted to expand elsewhere, I might have to start with a new series, because it is interesting that there are the subtle differences between different printers, or sometimes they're very large differences that can matter a lot, because people do like to keep series, succinct. And there are a lot of chatter when someone changes something up halfway through a series. So I'm kind of with you, is whatever I decide, be it, the color of paper or the type of cover, I'm going to keep with that series, probably permanently, and then I can always test something else out with a different series come the future.
Yeah,
Distant future.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, when I started this series, I don't think it was a mistake to do it, but it feels like it put a lot of pressure on me at the time. I promised my readers that all the books that come out would look good next to each other on the bookcase as they come out, so I wouldn't abandon a design midway through and start with something different. But I'm really interested. I've gotten a lot of ideas after putting out the first book and the first ebook and all that stuff for different design ideas. So what I might do is continue doing like I've been doing with the covers matching and everything, the book sizes and all that, but then maybe do some special edition stuff that gets a little bit freakier with it and gets a little bit weirder with how the covers are done, and maybe some special stuff underneath the dust jacket, or I don't know. There are a lot of things I'd like to explore, but that I wouldn't do with just sort of the core books in the series as they release. I need to keep those in line with the way the first one is. But actually, I can show you here. I've got the hardcover as well. This is the hardcover from Ingram Spark.
Ooh, very nice.
Looks like this. Thank you. And it has like
that's so pretty though. I love dust jackets.
Thank you. And then it's got the regular thing. If I had it to do over again, I would have some art on here on the inside. I didn't really know what to do, so I had my designer just do a plain cover with the color would kind of match with the design here. But that's what the Ingram Spark hardcover looks like. And I've got my picture on the back flap and all that. So, yeah. So just to give you an idea of what they do. And
I do
they
agree.
also,
Like, at the moment, I think Ingram does better hard covers, but again, it's just because I haven't branched into that platform yet. And there's so many other things on my mind as an author of what you need to do that I've pushed that one off.
Yeah. Honestly, Ingram Spark is a lot harder to work with than Amazon is. And so if I could get everything that I need just from Amazon, I probably would just go Amazon. But now I'm kind of hooked into both. And Ingram Spark has a lot of things that I don't really like about it, like that you have to, like with Amazon, you can upload your files and you can tweak your files and get it exactly like you want it, and you don't have to pay anything during that. With Ingram Spark, you pay, I think it's like $50 to initially upload a file to them. And then every time you make a change, if you need to revise it, it's an additional, I think, like $25 to just do a revision to the file. That's before printing anything.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's like a high stress thing working with Ingram Spark, because you're like, you're about to upload a file and you're like, okay, if I get this wrong, that's going to be an additional $25 I have to pay them. So you kind of close your eyes and click the mouse button.
I think I would have a problem with that, because though I haven't messed around with the cover, because again, I want things to look the same for everybody. What I have repeatedly, people may notice this, is the back matter of the book. I'll periodically go and tweak and update and revise, and if I learn a new trick or something that has an improvement of how to position or alter or add something, I do. So I do regularly adjust my back matter, which, if people don't know what back matter is, it's like about the author, where to find them, maybe some interesting facts, signups for like newsletters, etc., so on. So all that's pretty, I've tweaked over the years, because when I originally published, I just wrote everything out, didn't know what to do. It was pretty much about the author. Since then, I've added different subsections and even learned how to insert for print QR codes for people to scan. And obviously, if you're an ebook, embed live links where people can quickly go to different places, which has been fun. But yeah, if I had to re-upload all that, that's scary.
Yeah, it's a pain. Every time there's any little tweak, like when I uploaded my book initially, I had the wrong ISBN number on the inside, because you have to have a separate ISBN for the paperback and for the hardcover and for the ebook. I got them mixed up, and so that was $25 out of pocket just to fix the ISBN on the copyright page.
Oh
but,
no!
Yeah, that was a pain. But we have a question here. How difficult do you find formatting the covers, and what software or tools do you use? What do you use for that, and how do you find that?
Formatting my covers, well, I have two different cover designers for different series that I bounce between, and so they're both really good about, they design the images and I give them the information about the details. For Amazon, they have created a formatting device where if you go on and plug in the certain information, they'll tell you exactly dimensions down to the fraction of an inch on what you need for your cover, your spine, and et cetera, that work with their publishing program. So using that, I just plug in information, copy that, send it over to my editor along with whatever information that designer needs, and they create the book, and the files have been working. So that's helped me a lot. But again, that's on the Amazon side of things.
Yeah, that's very similar to what I do as well, and it works pretty much the same with Ingram Spark as well. But Ingram Spark, even if you have exactly the same, like I do paperbacks through both Amazon and Ingram Spark, because I like the quality of the Amazon paperbacks better than the Ingram paperbacks, but I also wanted to be able to be wide in bookstores, so I have paperbacks through both. But even with the same size, same art and everything, it's different template files that they give you between the two. And so I have one designer that I work with for my series, and I just sort of, you go in and, like you were saying, enter all the information, and then it exports a template file that I think for Ingram Spark it might have been like an Adobe InDesign file or something like that. And then I just send that to my designer, and she has all the files that she's already created for my cover, and then makes it fit, makes it work, and then sends me back the correct thing. And another thing about Ingram Spark that was a real pain was they send the template file, and it doesn't always exactly align for some reason. They have this huge tolerance for error that they do on there. So I had to upload what she sent me, which was to spec, and then I would have a author copy, a proof copy sent to myself, and the spacing would be off a little bit. It would be like uncentered or something. So I would have to say, okay, well, this is wrong. And it sounds like she was used to having that happen with Ingram Spark. So she would say, okay, no problem, I'll adjust that. So we went back and forth tweaking it. So I have probably like 5 copies of my book with the title like off somewhere, but we finally got it right for release. So that's what it is. And I think she uses InDesign for a lot of her work. She probably uses some Photoshop and maybe Adobe Illustrator. I don't know exactly what she uses, but it's not my business to know. I pay her, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's beyond me. When people always ask, since on my artist side, they're like, "Do you do your own covers?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. That is not my style of art. That is not my forte." And the thing is, if people, I recently brought me to attention the fact that styles of cover preferences adjust throughout the years. I guess anything else, everything kind of adjusts, ebbs and flows. And so if you look at popular books from childhood, for me, Harry Potter, and then look at the new jackets, they're always evolving to try to keep up with the current trends. And I'm not that trendy, so I wouldn't know what to do when it comes to designing a cover.
Yeah. I designed the cover for my novella ebook that I'm giving away for free. I did that because I have done some graphic design in the past. I'm not by any means like anywhere near an expert cover artist, but I was going to be giving this book away for free, so I didn't want to put a whole lot of money into producing that ebook. And so I bought some stock images and messed with stuff in Photoshop, and I got it to work and put it out that way. So I did that. But for my actual books that I'm selling, I would not try to design my own cover and put that ask for money for that from anyone.
Yeah. So where did you find your cover designer, may I ask? I mean, everybody finds it. I think that's a question I've gotten a few times of where do people begin for anybody who's into that process? And so I was curious about yours because I know I found my 2 different places.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was looking for a cover designer, I had in my mind sort of the style of cover that I was interested in getting, which at that time I was thinking more in the direction of like the kind of books that I read that introduced me to fantasy were the more like illustrated kind of covers, like the original Wheel of Time covers. I know they've changed the covers recently, but there were like the painting covers that were like really detailed, and I really liked that kind of thing. So I was looking for somebody that the thing that's really in vogue right now for fantasy books a lot is books as covers that are like typographic heavy. That's just like the title is just there, and I didn't really. Yeah. I didn't really want that exactly. So I started just searching online. I was looking and doing some Google searches for cover artists and for different things. And I was looking at different people's portfolios. And I kept looking for that until I found someone that I thought, for one thing, did really great work and that I thought could maybe be in the area that I was looking for. And the one that I found, her name is Franziska Stern. She's in Germany, and her website is coverdungeon.com. And she works also through the website 99 Designs. But
I've never used them before, but I've heard a lot of good things.
Yeah, it's a good place to find artists. There are 2 ways you can work with people on 99 Designs. There's one way is you find the artist you want to work with, and you can set up an arrangement with them and then pay them directly through there. And 99 Designs just sort of acts as a mediator between, where they'll hold the money until you authorize them to release it to the artist, and they sort of just act as an intermediary. And I really like working with them that way. The other way with 99 Designs I don't like, and I discourage people from doing this, is they have what they call contests on there. You'll go on, let's say you're an author and you need a cover for your book. You go on and you describe what you want, and you put up a contest. And then I believe it's up to 99 artists. I think that's why it's called 99 Designs. Will start submitting ideas and start submitting work in progress and start actually working on the project for you. And you narrow it down as you go along until you have one artist at the end that's the one you actually give the job to and work with. And I don't like that because it causes like 98 other artists to do all this work for free, and they don't get compensated for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are probably people that you would not even have selected their work anyway. But I like the more direct thing. I don't like the contest kind of thing that they do on there. But I want to thank Flamingo Kisses just sent 5 roses. Thank you very much for that. I didn't even know you could send roses on here.
Oh,
but
now
um,
you
but
know.
yeah, yeah. But that's how I found mine. How did you come across yours?
Well, my original one I used, and I can never figure out which way you pronounce it. Fiverr, which is akin to
Fiverr.
99
Yep.
Design, yeah. And that one, you go through and you search, the category book cover designs, and you just essentially scroll. You can kind of adjust it, and you pick someone who your designs you like, and then you can test them out. The nice thing about them is the people. They're from all around the world, which is really kind of neat working with people from, internationally. And the prices are very reasonable. You do have to go and, probably have to test a few people out, and when you test them out, you do have to pay for them. I did that a little bit, where I would try someone that wasn't really liking what they were doing or wasn't what I wanted, and then tried someone else. Yes, originally I did have to compensate, pay people who I ended up not using in the end, but I found someone I loved, and she's worked with me with 2 of my series. And then the other series, my young adult, the Portal Fantasy, I wanted something totally different, off the wall. And so for Facebook users, there are lots of groups on Facebook that are where cover designers post ready-mades, which are covers they've already designed that you could just buy, and they'll maybe adjust the title or the thickness or whatever you need, but they're ready-made. And it also gives you a taste of what they can do, so you can go direct. And so by scrolling through one of those groups, I found someone that actually was really impressed, because she created one of the alternate other country designs for Six of Crows, the non-American one.
Oh,
And
that's
I was like,
cool.
oh,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I want you. And so she's Adratica Creations online. She is fantastic. I love her to death. And the other one I work with, her company's name is Olivia Pro Designs, and she's on Fiverr. So I love them both. I use them. I want to continue to use them.
That's so cool, and your covers look great. I was looking at. I actually have pulled. I've got my computer over there, and I had your books pulled up. I was looking at them right before we came on, and I love the colors on them and how each of them is defined by the colors, and you have the different animals and everything. It's so cool.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am a very visual person, so trying to figure out how to distinguish books in a series. The color hues are something that I obviously do tend to. I think all 3 of my series adjust colors, but still have other kind of central things that connect, which I enjoy. But everybody uses
Yeah.
the series differently, so.
Yeah, yeah. I had a similar idea with mine, but it's a little bit I guess more subtle with it. Like I love the boldness of the color on yours, and it's making me think maybe I should have done something like that. But with my first book in the series, I went for more of a kind of reddish kind of art
Mhm.
and specified that to the artist. And the next book I'm thinking might be sort of the blue book. So we'll see how that turns out.
Hey,
But
that's fun.
yeah. Yeah, I've got a comment here. My IS file, my Ingram Spark file for the hardcovers was done according to their spec, and the proof I got was off center. Which, yep, that was my experience as well. So we had to redo that. Let's see. We've got Jeremy says my cover artist burned me pretty bad. Live and learn. That's unfortunate to hear for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Let's see. We have Elizabeth J. Brown, author, says, "Are your books available as audiobooks? If so, what process did you use for that? Do you have any audio?"
I'm having one currently go through the audiobook process. It'll be my first audiobook, and it'll be Asara's Claws, because I'm starting in order. I use, again, through Amazon, they have ACX, which is their company, or for the Audible version. So that's what I'm using. The process, they have 2 on that platform, where you can, kind of like what you were talking about, 99 Designs, do a bidding way where, and you kind of put in your information, and a lot of people will do like recordings, or you can go and search through all other people's samples. I did the bidding process because thankfully recording, a few minutes is a few minutes of time. Plus it allowed me
Yeah.
to hear someone try to interact my characters. So in that kind of process, I would almost recommend that, because you want to hear how they're going to read your words. And if you use ACX, there are a few ways on how you can set up, because it all depends on if you want to pay out or you get paid, and to what extent you're breaking the cuts, because creating audiobooks is very expensive. It
Yeah.
is very expensive. And the 2 ways is either you pay the reader a giant lump sum fee at the end. You pay them all, pay them off. They do their work, pay them entirely, and then you get 100% of the proceeds, which is 60% of any sales. Or you don't pay a penny, which a lot of authors who don't have a lot of money like to do, and it just means you have a contract with your reader for the next, I think it's 10 years. They split any profit, so that 60% gets split in half, so you earn 30% of all the sales you make for 10 years, and then after that you get 100% of that 60%. I know, math. It's a little...
Yeah.
But, so what I ended up doing for this first one, I ended up caving and going to pay them entirely for it. And then going forward, I may try to test the split thing just because I don't know which way is better. And I feel like I kind of want to know. But again, going through the process, for me, the process is taking extra long because I found a group of people where each character is going to have their own voice actor. So it's going to be like an old school radio program, but it's taking a long time because of COVID slowed everybody out. They couldn't get into the set to record. So it's taking a little while. I can let you know, hopefully by the end of the year, how that's going. It should be out.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got a question related to that here. Has it been hard to find good narrators with the royalty share model?
It looked like there are preferences. Each narrator has their own preference. Some like being paid up front. Some like to, especially if you are renowned, have some recognition or have a large following, they'll be more comfortable to record and do the buy-in for 10 years. Right. Also, right now, I think there is a big push or a big need for more audiobooks. People who listen to Audible and stuff like that almost predominantly listen to Audible. And because there's such a hard buy-in, there are far less books available than ebooks, which is so easy to create in retrospect. So if you and what I've heard, I again have yet to test the water truly, but have heard that when you create an audiobook, it's actually pretty easy to sell it. So the going back to what you're asking about finding someone, it looked like either way you would have a lot of options. You just have to take the time to listen and search depending on if you want to do a bidding or if you're going to scroll through, because they have a lot of voice actors. And depending on the voice actor and depending on your budget can also vary, because some voice actors want to be paid more. Some are okay with being paid less, and you just have to judge quality and price. So just, do your due diligence, do your research, and be prepared to spend a little bit of time searching. But I was happy with my results so far.
Yeah, and like you're saying, there's such a demand for audiobooks, and audiobooks typically sell for a lot more than the ebooks or other things. So I remember hearing an interview with Brandon Sanderson. I don't think this is true anymore because he's taken off with his Kickstarter and all that kind of stuff. But Brandon Sanderson was saying at one point that audiobook sales made up for about half of his revenue from his stuff, and he's like the biggest name in fantasy right now. So, but I think now Kickstarter makes up for a lot more than that for him, because he just did you follow all that with him on Kickstarter?
That was my jaw dropped a little bit, but I have pros and cons to that discussion, but yes, I have heard about that.
Yeah, that was just wild. I couldn't believe it. But as far as audiobook stuff, I don't currently have any audiobooks out, but I'm currently drafting a book, and when I finish the first draft of this book, my next project is going to be getting my first book done as audiobook. And I'm actually a voiceover artist myself. That's my day job. And so I've been doing that for about 12 years, but I don't typically do audiobooks because that is a lot harder to do than other kinds of work. The type of voice work that I typically do is corporate stuff. I do like TV commercials, I do training videos, I do things like that, which I typically will take gigs that I can finish in a day and then just be done with it and not have to have it going on. But audiobooks are kind of a commitment. You get stuck in there reading it for a long time. But I really want to narrate my own book and have that come out, because I just I don't know, there's just sort of a point of pride with that, since I already do voice work and kind of want to do that. But if I start doing it and it starts failing horribly, then I certainly will hire somebody to do it.
And that is a good point. Like through ACX, and I didn't mention it because I didn't think about it, because I am not a voice person. I don't have the equipment. Yeah. I will stumble. I don't know how to do the edits, but that is a third option, that if you do have the tech or want to, you can record your own, and then you don't have to pay anybody else because you're recording your own. That is an option for people who are comfortable with it, have the technology, have whatever you need to do the editing, and people do it. That's not me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel confident in it, and I don't even know at this point whether I feel confident in it. I mean, I've been doing voiceover work for 12 years or however long, and I actually do. I use Fiverr to find some of my clients. I have a listing on Fiverr myself as a voiceover person, and so definitely familiar with that. But I just have not done that much audiobook reading because it's such hard work, and I'm planning to, after I finish this draft that I'm writing, I'm going to try recording it and see how it goes. And I'm just going to be really honest with myself. If it's too hard and I'm not doing a good job, I don't want a bad audiobook out there.
Yeah.
So I will, I'll kind of pull the plug on myself and be like, nope, you got to hire it out. But I'm hoping I can pull it off. I'm hoping that I can get it done and get it out there, because for one thing, I would like to be able to read my own book. But then for another, it is economically such a better option if you're able to do that. I'm not at all averse to paying someone else to do it, but if I can keep some of that money, then
Yes.
then
yes.
hey.
Yes. And that's a thing you have to realize again. It's a risk. You're gonna, if you're, especially you're paying someone like I'm doing right now, a lump sum right up front, it is a risk. Like, will you be able to sell it? But I've heard predominantly good stories about being able to make your money back whichever way you do it and start making profit through the audiobook. But it's a lot to swallow originally. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I've
I'm
heard the same.
excited, but
Yeah, I'm
hopefully it
excited for
works.
you. I've heard the same. I think audiobooks are a huge market right now, so I don't think you'll have any trouble making your money back on it. So I think that's a good investment. And we have another question here about that. Other than hiring a narrator per character, what is your view on them doing accents?
Ooh, okay, so I like accents if they can be done well. And again, working with a group of people, it's nice because some people already actually have natural accents or are better at doing a certain accent. In my original series, I had a couple that I definitely wanted accents, and then I had a few that because I've heard some of the sound bites of my readings that people just were like, I felt like he needed or she needed this. And I was like, okay, maybe not. But it's been a nice process because if you have a true different voice actors, they are able to either cut back, bump up levels. And, it may be something that if you're trying to bid out and try to find someone, say, hey, are you comfortable with trying to sound with this or sound Scottish or English or whatever it is? But yeah, so it all depends on what you're asking for, and you just have to be honest with the other person you're potentially going to work with. But I'm
Yeah,
okay with
yeah.
accents. I like being immersed into a story, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my perspective, as someone who potentially is going to be recording my own book, doing the different character voices and staying consistent with that is the main thing that makes me nervous about it. That's the hardest part of doing any kind of audiobook narration, is keeping consistent voices for characters. And in my book, there are 7 or 8 point of view characters. It swaps around from chapter to
Okay,
chapter,
wow.
and so that it feels a little bit daunting to me to first of all create the voice for an individual character that's recognizable and distinct from the other characters. But then when I record a chapter with them, and then maybe 3 chapters later I come back to that character, I want to be able to match and have consistency going forward with that. And that it sounds really hard to me. And from work I've done in the past, I know it is really hard to do with one person doing that. So that's the main concern that I have for myself, is to see if I can actually do this and have consistent dialogue, have consistent characters going forward. Because in addition to those 7 or 8 point of view characters, I also have a whole bunch of secondary characters that come in that I need to keep straight. So it's going to be a task for sure. I might end up wanting to look into something like you're doing, where I have maybe a different actor for each point of view character. I don't know.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is like when I was scrolling, it was hard because a lot of my stories, so far, I've written stories where it's you really follow one character's point of view and they're female, though it just happenstance that most of the stories are male dominated by the other surrounding characters. I have a war film where, I have one female warrior in a time when you didn't really have female warriors, so a lot of the people she interacts with are male. And so I was trying to decide, do I have a female narrator narrating the main character and have female point of view and thoughts, but can you then do all these male roles, or vice versa? Can you have a male narrator who can probably do great with all these different male roles, but still make me feel like my main character sounds like the way she should and not
Yeah.
weird?
Right.
So it
And
was
we
really
actually
hard
have
for me to decide, and then thankfully this other group I found, and I was just, yes,
yeah.
please work.
I think you're on the right track, and we have a comment that actually came in while you're saying that was sort of prescient that sort of predicted what you were going to be talking about. He says, "I'd record my own, but it's written in first-person female voice might be a challenge." So that fits right with what you're saying there, and probably I'd say about half of my point of view characters are female, and 2 of them are children. So that's going to be kind of interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to unpack there. Mine is all in third person, and so I feel a little bit more okay with narrating the female point of views from that, because I'm not saying I and like that. If it were first person from a female viewpoint, I don't do I can't do other gender voices and like that kind of thing myself. So I certainly would need to find somebody else to do that. If I ever write something that's first person and like a child, or first person and not male or whatever, I would need to find somebody to do that, because I couldn't do that myself.
Yeah, no, again, this is why I pay someone else to do it, because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Not something I'm comfortable with. But,
Yeah.
and that goes with, I guess, anything to do with marketing, publishing. It's what are you comfortable with as a indie author or an author in general, and what are you willing to pay someone else to do that you're not comfortable with, and you have to find that value versus that comfort versus the return of what you do in anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things about traditional publishing versus self-publishing as well, that traditional publishing, you go in and you have the publisher's team, that they will have people that are already slotted into these roles, and if they're going to do an audiobook from it, they will have sort of a workflow for that. Whereas if you are self-published and going the indie route, you sort of put the team together yourself, and you have to build this infrastructure that isn't already there, and which I like that. I like being very hands-on and sort of the do-it-yourself kind of thing, putting all that together and selecting the team and doing that. But that definitely is one of the things that, from some perspectives, depending on what's important to you, going traditional might be easier, because you would have the publisher putting that team together.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I wouldn't mind going traditional. On the other hand, it is interesting following trends that more people in the traditional publishing field are moving to indie, because there's such a great need, and there's so many of us out here that we're changing the way publishing is, which is also interesting. But I wouldn't mind a little support sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Editing gets expensive.
Oh yes. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say editing is one of the probably most expensive, and cover design for me. Of course, soon to be audiobooks gonna change all that, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world, no matter what.
Right. Yeah, pretty much each year when I do my taxes from my day job stuff and other stuff that I have income, I do my taxes, and then I get my tax refund, and the tax refund just goes into my publishing business. It's just like, here, this is to fund it for this next book.
Yeah, there are different ways, but yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't know, like, there are always people who try to do, and again, I call them the side hustles. And I don't know if you've heard some of these platforms like Medium, where, if you blog, and then depending on how many people read, they pay you. And I know some other authors try to fund their actual work by participating in stuff like that. For me,
Mhm.
I only have so much time in a day, so I haven't really done any of those projects, but
Yeah.
just curious. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you do, what do you, as an author, is this your sole job, or do you have a day job, another job, an alternate job outside?
Yeah,
You're
my
a
day.
voice actor, you said.
Yeah, that's my day job, and I no, that's fine. That's fine. It's a Friday,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I do that. I would love to earn enough from the writing for that to become just my main income, so that I could choose more and be choosier with the voice gigs that I take, and could, if I wanted to, could just write. But I'm definitely not financially at that point.
Yeah.
But but yeah, there's a lot to consider there with time as well as finances and things like that. I found interestingly that I've done all kinds of marketing and promotion for my books. I've done a lot of pay stuff. I've done pay Facebook ads. I've done pay Amazon ads. I've done all this stuff, and nothing that I've done has been as effective as just coming on TikTok and making a fool of myself daily. Like, that's the most effective thing that I've done for marketing to this point. And at this point, I don't even think of it as marketing. I just think of it as going on here and telling jokes to my friends
I
and like
love it.
giving
I
writing
love
tips
it.
to my friends.
I love it.
So,
No,
but
I'm relatively new to TikTok, so I'm still learning and all this kind of stuff. But it was a really fun experience when someone was the first time posted or messaged me and was like, "I bought your book," and I was like, "Oh, I made a sale!"
isn't
Oh
that the
my,
greatest feeling
I
ever?
made a sale because, like you, I was like, I advertise through. I never could figure out Amazon for me, but I do advertise through Facebook and have taken a lot of courses and stuff to try to educate myself how to be better about that. And so, right now I'm more or less breaking even with that as I'm still continuing to learn and improve. But like you said,
Yeah,
it's just an amazing community, Book Talk here on
yeah, yeah,
TikTok. Yeah.
absolutely.
I
I'm curious.
actually came up
The
while we were talking. Sorry about that. What were you saying?
Oh, go ahead. No, go
I
ahead. Go
came
ahead.
up with an idea while we were talking about the problem of this background stuff. We should all come up with book posters that are mirror image.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yes, because on the
That's a
computer
great
you just
idea.
put it up there, print it out backwards, and just be like, here, and it looks
Here,
correct. I feel like that would work.
I think it would, and I think all we need to do is like load it into like Photoshop or something, and just flip it, and then
Yep.
get it printed at like Staples or somewhere, and we bring it, and we're like, "Hey, here we go."
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
brilliant.
This is my TikTok, my my poster.
Or
These are the book covers.
I'm here doing this in 2022. You're in 2073. I'm telling you.
I like solving
um,
issues. Plus, my type of art is reverse glass painting, so the flipping around of images I do all the time. I was like, oh, it's the same thing. I should just do that with my
that's really
cover
neat.
here.
Yeah. We have a question here that kind of goes along with printing stuff out and doing that. What sort of swag do you create to go alongside your books? What do your readers like the most? I know you mentioned that you include things with your signed copies, and what kind of swag do you do?
Okay, so right now, and this is something that I've been considering because I now have the Etsy shop. I was like, should I be developing a swag subsection of my Etsy where I can like promote stuff? What I do right now for marketing purposes is I have little stickers with some of the images from my book covers on them and bookmarks. And but outside of that, I don't really have a lot of swag. I will periodically do giveaways, and during those times, I've done cover posters that were signed. I've done some odd things depending on what I was giving away for my book series, my novella series for the Vikings. I actually had a big bundle giveaway, little basket, and part of it I had was a leather journal with the Yggdrasil, the world tree on it as part of it,
Oh,
which was something I found and it just worked. And then another one I have done in the past for my Shifter fantasy series in the back is I actually found someone on, I think it was Amazon and not Etsy, but I think they both do it, that etched a tiger image and then the title of my book on a little glass that I was able to, a little cup that people could have. So there are different
that's
things.
cool.
I've just never, I really don't know what to do for a permanent line of swag outside of bookmarks, stickers. If people recommend something, let me know. Let him know. We're always
Yeah.
listening. I know a lot of people do candles and stuff like that. I have no idea.
Yeah, as far as swag goes, I've got nothing. I have absolutely nothing but the books. I would like to have ideas of things people would like. I haven't had a specific request for any kind of bookmarks or anything like that, but I certainly would look into it if I started hearing from readers that they were interested in getting stuff. I just haven't sort of had the time and energy to put into to figuring that out while I'm doing other stuff, since there hasn't been a specific demand. But yeah, you're way ahead of me on that one.
Well, I always recommend, because especially if you do live events, if you're willing to, everything has a cost, pay for things like bookmarks and business cards, etc., because you can always have your your email, if you have a website, whatever you want to do for people to contact you, it's another way for people to discover you. And bookmarks people use since you're a reader. And if they keep
Yeah.
staring at it, they're like, oh, I should follow this person. It's,
Sort of
I think that was
hypnotize them.
smart at the very least.
Yeah, sort of hypnotize them every time they take the bookmark
Exactly.
in and out.
I like this. Oh, wait, I should be following this person elsewhere. Yes, please.
Right. Right. Elizabeth says, I've seen miniature book key rings that you can customize to have the cover of your book on. That sounds cool.
That is really cool. I have to go look into
Yeah.
that. I wonder.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google key rings design.
We'll have to go in together and buy in bulk.
Yes. Buy in bulk. I like that.
Yeah. As far as in-person stuff, later this year, I'm going in. I see we're coming up on the time here at the end of the hour, but I'm planning at the end of August, beginning of September, to come up to Atlanta. Actually, I'm going to be at DragonCon, and so we'll be in the same area there. But do you have any in-person stuff planned coming up that you know of?
Not at this moment. Since COVID happened, I've been, I tapered all the way down. I'm hoping since after the summer, I'm planning to do a couple bigger releases. Again, I'm trying to do a box set of my first 4 ebook novellas so I can finally have something physical to say, hey, this series does exist for people who like print copies of things. And after that point, I may want to do a signing in the fall, but it may be something smaller, maybe a local signing, just to get my feet wet again, because I haven't done it in so long. I'm probably a little rusty at it.
Yeah. If you end up at DragonCon at any point, let me know, and we'll.
Okay.
I would love to get some signed stuff from you and do all that
I'm
kind of stuff.
I'm actually hoping that I can come as a participant and see. I just looking for those couple day tickets, 1 day tickets, waiting to see if they'll come for sale. If not, I may just have to bite the bullet and buy for the 5 days or 4 days, 5 days, whatever it is. But I'll try to. If I'm there, I will try to find you.
Yeah,
Meet
absolutely.
you in person.
I think I'm going to be on some panels there. I haven't heard for sure yet. They usually set those like in May is around the time that they set set the panels. So I haven't heard for sure, but I've been talking with some of the folks there. So I probably will be doing some of that. But if we're both there, we definitely need to meet up.
Yes. And now the big question, are you going to dress as one of your characters?
I am not going to, but I would love for somebody else to. I think the day that I see someone cosplaying somebody from my writing is the day that I can just drop over happy.
That is a dream. That is such a dream of mine to be like, oh, that's like my character Ueva, or oh, that's Leaf. I love it. I'll be so excited.
It's funny in my writing, there are certain uniforms, things like that. As I was writing, I had in my mind, I need to put enough detail for the cosplayers here. So that actually was like in my mind as I was writing, like I need to help these people in the future that might want to be this character and make sure I have enough detail there for them.
Oh, that'd be so funny. Do you have your are you an author? Because they're not all authors have websites. Do you have one?
Yeah, it's just my name.com. It's just jasondorough.com. It's in my link tree on my bio on TikTok. Perfect. So you can get there from that. And I know you have your website that is in your links as well.
Yes. I discovered the link tree concept while I was on TikTok. So I recently was trying to keep up with everybody and created a similar page on my website just to do what all the cool kids are doing.
Yeah. Your website looks so good. I was looking through it a little while ago, and I need to redesign my website. I don't like my layout and everything, sort of the look. I need to revamp it. And I was looking here, so I was like, gosh, this website looks so good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so weird what authors do to start stalking other authors to learn from each other. And so periodically I'll go and check different people's websites and be like, what is there anything I should be doing differently? And it's just always an improving thing.
I definitely did that myself when putting my site together. I went to Brandon Sanderson's site, actually, and he has on his front page these meters that show how far along he is in each of his current projects. And I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. So I grabbed that, and I not literally grabbed it. I figured out how to make it, and I put that on my site. So I have my progress meters through each of my projects that people can go and look on the front page and be like, oh, so it's still going to be a long time before I get to read this.
I'm afraid I would be so bad about that. It's like I tried to do a Goodreads book challenge and I just couldn't keep up logging. I was reading, I just never logged the books. I'm like, I don't know if I would keep up with my progress check. It would look like 4 books ago and I'll be like, oh yeah, that was complete. Yes, that one's out there.
I forget to update it sometimes, but then I'll go back and I'll just have like this big jump in progress. I think I've been forgetting for like the past couple of weeks to do it, so I probably need to update that.
Something to do later today on your list. I'm a list person. I always have a continual list.
I am too. We're of the same mind on that. Definitely. But I know we're right towards the end now, so we probably should start wrapping things up. If do you have anything sort of last minute thoughts you want to get in, or any last questions folks have for us, or anything?
Well, like I said, I'm new to the live, so I don't have a flourishing yet. It will change. Community of people yet. So, and it's also a different time because I always bounce between times, so I don't really have a set time for people. So on my end,
Yeah.
it looks like we don't have any questions at this moment. How about you?
Okay. Yeah, don't have anything new that has come in the last little while, but we've had really good attendance over here and a lot of really good engagement. So Jeremy says, thanks for all you do. Keep crushing. I appreciate that. We both
There you
do,
go.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. So, but this has been so much fun, and I feel like I've learned a lot from you about how you've done stuff, and I've got a lot of things that I want to look into myself
Yeah,
that you've made work.
likewise.
Yeah. So this was great. We'll have to do this again, check in the future.
Of course, that's what I was about to say. I was like, if you ever want to, I enjoy talking to fellow authors, and I love it. So this is fun.
Yeah. Elizabeth says, thanks. This was great. Yeah, thank you to everybody who showed up and has watched this, everybody that's
Thank
been
you,
interacting.
Marco. Hi, thank you. He said loved it. I was like, thank you. I love it too.
Great. Great. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really enjoyed it, and it's been great to get to know you. We've been messaging each other, but it's great to actually talk face to face, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always good to learn how to communicate and meet people and allow other people to get to know us. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. This, you folks smashed it. I love it.
Awesome. Well, I want all of my followers who are here to go and follow her and go and buy her books and give her a lot of love. So.
And vice versa. Don't forget to check him out because if you like fantasy, why not?
That's correct. That is absolutely true. Well, thank you again so much for this, and we're gonna, I know, stay in touch. I'm probably gonna have some questions for you about what you're doing with your audio stuff and all of that, and I know we'll be in touch, and we definitely will do this again.
Okay, thank you, and I will catch up to you next time.
Sounds good. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.